the life of a children's book author and promoter. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Lisa Oligas. In this edition, Izzy B, a former school teacher turned author who comes to us as Pirate Izzy B. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, matey. You're all aboard here. So
Yeah.
you are an author of children's books. So are you an evil pirate or a silly one? And what inspired your persona?
I would say we are authors dressed as pirates, more or less, because Ben and I, who you'll meet later, we go from school to school promoting our book about a pirate. So we kind of make school visits more exciting and more fun by dressing up this way. But if I would say, we're reformed pirates.
All right.
We've
Reformed pirates. So let's revisit what set you on this path. You graduated from MSSU in the field of education. So how did teaching children influence your books? And did kids even inspire some of the stories?
Oh, for sure. Yes, I graduated with elementary ed degree here at Missouri Southern, and I taught first grade at Joplin, in Joplin schools at Irving Elementary. And while I was there, I would say I wrote most of the more popular books that I have right now. My students 100% inspired those books. So
Is it things they said, things they did?
Yeah, just the quirky little conversations we'd have. You know, the kids say funny things, and I wanted to be a children's book author before those. I actually started writing while I was at college.
Yeah.
And but I would say that those books were a lot more serious. Once I started getting into around the kids and we were being silly and funny, that's where that silliness came out. And I knew that that's what kids really wanted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that originated.
They want to have fun, have a good laugh.
Yeah.
When you were in college and you thought about writing, what made you think, I should be a teacher instead? I mean, did it not seem lucrative?
I don't think it was necessarily lucrative. It just seemed like it was something that was very far-fetched. You know, like you don't go to school to be a children's book author. You know, it's just not something you think like, I'm going to leave here and this is going to happen. That seemed like it was set for certain people, you know, like that Hollywood status thing that like seemed like it was so unattainable. But then the more I started getting into it, the more I realized it is attainable, obviously. Here we are. But I just had to take a different route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and being a teacher did expose you to the world of kids, how they think, how they speak. So do you feel like you even got some of your vernacular from the students themselves?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think like a kid. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm just a large child already to this day. And yeah, like being around them helped me write books for them. So it was definitely a huge part of the process that I will never say didn't help influence where I'm at today.
Yeah. So you describe your creations as super silly books on your website, sometimes even in the name. So for instance, Tidy Whitey Wind. What inspired that story, and was it your first? Tell us about this book.
So this book, actually, I wrote when I was a first grade teacher at Irving. We were sitting around what we call a kidney table, and we were reading Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, actually.
Things falling from the sky.
Things falling from the sky, and we were talking about weird stuff that it could rain and just what it would be like, just kind of exploring the text. And I was like, what are some other weird things and underwear, obviously. And I don't know how we got from point A to point B, but we started talking about what different animals would do if underwear fell from the sky. And I was like, this is so good. I have to turn this into a book. And I wrote this. I actually dedicated this to Irving Elementary.
Awesome.
Because that story came from there. And their little conversation is what made this happen. You
know, there are writers who say, they'll just write down a word or two that they'll hear, or a phrase. Do you just put them in your mind, or do you go, oh my goodness, I've got to write that down? That was like golden.
I have a huge
little
notebook full of just little this or that's, and some of them go nowhere. Some of them slowly turn into something bigger, for sure, yeah.
So you've even said on your website that some books can be gross, but kids can like that. So, and you even include some what might be taboo topics, but still funny. So your newest book is this. Tell us about Billy Tart's Can of Farts. What kind of reaction are you getting?
Oh, it's been about 50-50. I mean, everyone who reads it thinks it's hilarious. That I read it to kids and they love it. That's not been 50-50. Matter of fact, I read it at my son's school, and then the librarian there called me, and she said, I don't know this book, because it just came out.
Yeah.
And she was like, there's a waiting list already at the school for this book. And so I brought 3 copies, and she was only checking them out one day at a time.
Wow.
Because it slowly trickled throughout the school of how funny it was.
So how do you decide on a theme or a topic like this? And, how far can you go before somebody might say, you've gone too far?
Oh man, I think that book is like kind of like, it's just silly. I wouldn't say it's necessarily too far. It's just magical farts. And I don't even know how I came up with that idea, to be honest. Sometimes they just come out of nowhere. Like this one is one of my favorites.
Count Spatula.
Count Spatula. This was from a day I was cooking, and I was just thinking about how weird the word spatula is. Nothing rhymes with it. But then I was like, wait, Dracula. And so that's literally how this came about. I was like, what if there was a Dracula who cooked, and there was feetloaf and macaroni and sneeze and snot roast. I actually think this book's grosser than that one, because it's got spaghetti and eyeballs and all these weird, quirky, Halloween-y foods.
Yeah.
So
how hard was it to start getting published? What do you have to go through? That you got an idea, you've got a concept, and then how do you get it in print?
for the longest time, I tried to go the traditional route, and I was going to SCBWI conferences, which stands for Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I hired a mentor who was a professional author. I just kept getting rejected. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of authors talk about that, but it's even harder in the children's book world to get your foot in the door. It's very competitive.
Really?
Yeah, it's just not a market that's as big as, romance,
novels,
for instance,
mm-hmm.
Or like science fiction. Like those are for sure sellers. But children's books, they're just never sure if it's going to sell, so they don't really take risks. And me being a new author, I was always a risk, so I tried to alleviate that by finally teaching myself how to illustrate. And I had not an artistic bone in my body.
Yeah.
But I taught myself. I practiced and practiced and practiced. And then I realized, wait, if I'm illustrating these books myself, I can just publish them myself. And so that turned into Izzy B Books, which is my publishing company.
So then what does that mean? You're self-funded?
I am self-published, but at this point, I've gone past that point of self-publication because now I have my own publishers because I have a distributor. So technically, I am a publisher.
So how do you get a distributor then?
That's almost
even trickier.
That's almost as hard as getting an agent. That's just about making sure your books are really good and noticeable. I got the distributor because of this book.
So I was going to mention that. So when I caught you as a story about a fishing trip, right? Yeah. And so it's available for purchase at a Bass Pro Shop, right?
Yes, this is sold at Bass Pro.
So is that a strategy for selling books then, to maybe have a theme that kind of goes where, or to market it to somebody who might like that theme?
Honestly, this came about because I wrote this in honor of my dad. Mm-hmm. And my dad always was a fisherman and hunter, and he invented stuff and wanted to get a product in Bass Pro. Oh, so that was the only reason I wanted this book in there, was to honor my dad to the utmost. Yeah. And so I was working really hard to just put this in front of them. And, one day, actually, one of the people that worked at Bass Pro was at a birthday party that I was at. And he happened to be there and read this book.
Take advantage of every moment, right?
Right. It just happened that way. And then the wild part was, because of that relationship, the distributor found out and they contacted me. So that it's just, sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved.
I bet.
And with this case, because of that, I actually had to become a publisher, an official one, in order for the distributor to take me seriously.
Wow.
And
so what is it like working with the distributor? What do they do for you? Do they get your book in different places? And is that mm-hmm. Is it hard to get in a certain store to get your mm-hmm. foot in there?
Yeah, it's hard. And then you find out that it's not, like, a lot of things aren't black and white, like the store has to like your book too. They're just better at putting the book in front of them because they have a name and a reputation that you don't. So people aren't going to take you seriously, but if you have the name Scholastic behind you, they're like, oh, wait, okay, now we'll look at your book. So the stores will look at your book if you have this company that they've done business with in the past.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, you recently embarked on a Kickstarter campaign to back your newest book. Tell us about doing it that way, and was it successful?
It was, but I was really nervous. It was like down to the last minute. That book, Billy Tart's Can of Farts, I just didn't know what to even expect. I invested a lot in that book. I hired an illustrator I'd never worked with before, but she was incredible. And so I knew it was good. I'd read it at a bunch of schools, but you just never know how people are going to respond. And so my mom never allowed me to say fart. It was like a faux pas. That was my F word growing up.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, I listen and talk about that. No, I could say toot and breaking wind.
Wind?
and fluff.
Wow.
Yeah. So even with my own mother, I was really dancing in some dangerous ground. But the Kickstarter did well. For a lot of it, it's just putting it in front of people and showing them that even though it is kind of silly, kids are going to love it.
You had a crazy Facebook video. We're going to show a little bit of that.
I got the low down, broke down Kickstarter fart book blues. Trying to fund a story about gas, but I'm losing my shoes. I'm shouting to the heavens with the whoopee cushion plea, but the money's trickling slower than a baked bean guarantee. Oh Lord, I got them Billy Tart blues. Morgan Freeman's voice.
What did you use the Kickstarter funding for? To publish them?
Yeah. It's more or less like it's eliminating the risk. Because like, if I were to do it on my own, it would come out of my business's funds. But if I take pre-orders from everyone, they help me print more books.
Yeah.
Because the way I print them, because I want to print them in high quality, the more people that order them ahead of time, the more books I can print.
Yeah.
So when we go to schools, Ben and I will do school visits, and sometimes we'll have schools order 800 books.
That's awesome.
It is. It's great. It's fun. But then you're like, ooh, that takes a chunk out of my stock, which is what they're meant for, right?
Yeah.
But you have to like really stay ahead of that. But it's nice when I do a Kickstarter, literally kickstarts it, and I'll have a bunch of books ahead of time, so I'm not as worried about having to restock those books.
So your other books include The Mighty McCracken, which we have right here. It's up for an Arkansas Diamond Award and is part of the Missouri Show Me Readers Award. Top 10. What does that mean?
It's probably like the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. Like, I'm so excited about that award. I grew up in Missouri, Carl Junction, born, raised, still live there. And I remember reading those Missouri Show Me books and voting on them. Like, that was a part of my childhood. So it's awesome. Now every kid in Missouri in public school system is going to read this book.
That's about how many?
I think they said last year 75,000 kids voted.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, what kind of impact can that make to you, both personally and professionally?
I mean, we're getting a lot of Missouri school author visits, and which will help with the book too, because Ben and I are going around all these schools dressed as pirates, showing this book that the kids are going to vote on. So, I don't know. We have some tough competition, but I feel like we actually have a pretty decent shot.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk in a minute about illustrating and bring Ben in, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, bringing children's stories to life in color with pictures, all about illustration. And during the break, we'll have a little story time, but read us into break with one of your favorites.
Yeah, we'll do this because I'm a pirate.
A little Mighty McCracken for us.
Yes. Now, Commander, ye be walking the plank. Gregory, what did I say about how we treat others? Treat others the way you'd like them to treat you, with a hug and a smile and a how do you do. So the captain put floaties in a round inner tube on the Commander, and then snorkels, flippers, and goggles. Well done, Gregory, Miss McCracken whispered. Now I have a treasure for you.
It's gold! Captain Cosmian, it's beautiful, it's great. This is the greatest golden treasure that I've been searching for. Miss McCracken boarded her tiny boat and she sailed off into the horizon. I'll be back with more gold stars for more star students because good manners are as good as gold. The end.
Awesome.
A Tidy Whitey Wind, and it's by Izzy B is the author. When the farmer's wife hung some undies out to dry, a burst of whirly wind sent them high up in the sky. She pulled and tried to hold on tight, but those undies fled. So a tidy-whitey wind started blowing overhead. Well, that old tidy-whitey wind blew on by the farmer's wife. They waved as they went by, like those undies came to life. Do you see it waving? One zipped into the pasture and fell upon the dew. Now someone's wearing undies, and they keep on saying, let me hear it. What do they say? Moo. And she says, what a wonderful udder warmer. That old tidy-whitey wind kept a-blowing past the horse, blew the farmer's undies up on a roller coaster course. Then some undies hit the roof and the king of crowing flew. He shot high up in the sky, shouting, what's he gonna say? That's it. And he's saying, look y'all, I'm flying. How is he using it? Like a parachute. That old tidy-whitey wind kept a-blowing past the sheep. Lots of undies went off-road and they covered the farmer's Jeep. A pair went by a billy goat and he caught them in his jaw. Now someone's eating undies and they keep on saying, what does a goat say? Maa. And he says, tasty tidy whiteys. Then the farmer came outside and he gave the goat a glare. Hey, you silly Billy, give me back my underwear. And what's happening? Yeah, tug of war. Well, that old tidy-whitey wind seemed to settle on down. Poor old farmer's plucking undies off the animals and ground. Then something hit his hiney. Shivers shook his knobby knees. His old hiney couldn't hide from a tidy-whitey breeze. What happened to his undies?
Broke.
And who has the other part of his undies?
The goat.
The goat. So, was that a fun book?
Yeah.
Yes, I've never heard it before. It was my first.
Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we are on board with Pirate Izzy B, children's book author, and we are joined by illustrator and author as well, Ben Askew. Thanks for joining the conversation, Ben.
Thank you.
So how did you guys get connected to work together? Because you did work together on the Mighty McCracken. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but what drew you together?
So I've always been an artist, and it's been in the back of my mind to do a children's book for forever, probably 15 years or so.
Wow.
And I finally decided that I should probably do a project. And so I kind of wrote a story, and I had no idea what I was doing. And so I found out there was a local author illustrator in the Joplin area, and I just reached out to him on Facebook and said, hey, can we get some coffee, and can you help me? And he was very gracious and was like, yeah, sure. And the rest is history after that. We just kind of, I like to say that the world doesn't know what happened when Izzy B and I met, because we're very much the same person.
Okay. You synced really well.
Yeah.
So what was the process? Mighty McCracken is an award-nominated book now, and you were the illustrator. What's the process when you do that with an author? Like, what comes first? The story's already there, or did you talk about the characters and what he wanted them to look like?
typically when you illustrate for authors, every illustrator or author is going to be different. Izzy B was very gracious and very free and open with whatever I wanted to bring to the table. He is also an illustrator himself, so some authors will be more hands-on with exactly what they want, and then you have some that are very hands-off. Trust you as an artist to bring the story to life, and he allowed me complete, almost 100% freedom on illustrating the Mighty McCracken. And that it's always nice because it gives you, a little more freedom to have fun and do what you want.
How important is communication between the writer and illustrator about, especially, and is it different because he's also an illustrator, as to what they want and how to make these characters come alive and the shapes? Do you have like sort of a theme of each, what this character means and does, and any expectations, when you guys communicate?
Yeah, so every author is different on vision. A lot of them will leave some maybe some artist notes in the writing, because when you're writing a story, you envision it in your head a little bit, and you have an idea of how the story's going to progress and things. Izzy didn't have a whole bunch.
I left a few.
You left a few.
Illustrator marks.
Yeah.
But not much. 'Cause
Yeah.
I mainly storyboarded it for you.
Yep.
And I just said, this is what I envision. Go crazy.
Yeah, and which it was a really good experience for me too, because that was only my second book that I actually illustrated. So I had done my project and completed it, and then he gave me a huge opportunity to do the Mighty McCracken, and was very good learning experience for me.
How does it feel that it's nominated for an award?
I'm ecstatic. I don't show it as much as he might want, but I can't believe how far it's gone, and it's been an awesome experience. But yeah, as far as the vision for the book, some authors have more of a vision that they want and will be very specific. Some are hands off. A lot of the process is going through the book and kind of getting it laid out with sketches and kind of how the words are gonna, the progression of the story, and then you usually get some feedback from the author, like, hey, I don't really like how this is working or that's working, and then you kind of make adjustments and you work on it and until you get a finished product.
Yeah. I
And
don't
is
think
it-
we had that many adjustments either.
Really?
We didn't. No, I think I made all the sketches, and there was maybe one or two different
It just clicked.
changes that
Yeah.
It
he
really
wanted.
did. Yeah.
So if you're looking at some of the parts here, there's mustaches, beards. You guys have that going. When you illustrate, Izzy, or even when you write, do you have an inspiration for that character's image or that look, or when you're thinking about them?
Yeah, I'd say that we always kind of come into something with the character in mind. And what's funny is when I actually started illustrating this book too.
Did you?
And Ben's character looked somewhat similar to mine, but his style is a lot more fun and comic booky. So it looked different, but they looked somewhat similar too. But yeah.
Yeah, I took inspiration from his original illustrations for the book, somewhat, and then just kind of ran with it after that. For that one specifically, I loved the idea of this monster and like tentacles and like very, very fun. And then it just happens to be this, very small teacher who's actually
Larger than life.
larger
She's
than
pretty
life.
big, yeah.
Yeah,
But I actually based that off my first grade teacher.
Did you? So one of the things that's interesting is I noticed in this book, the color is end to end. The images are big. Is that something you decide when you're getting, because there's other books where it's like an image on a white page. But was that important to you to have full-blown color and stretching all the way across the page?
I try. I like to have as much like movement and motion in my artwork, and I try to make it as fun as possible. My inspirations for my art are very heavily comic book esque.
Yeah.
A very like a comic book style, which has translated really well into children's books. So it tends to be a little bit unique in the children's book.
He's also attempting graphic novels next, because kids are going crazy about those. So
Yeah.
it'll really translate well there.
So what comes easier to you, Izzy, story or images? Like, do you think in pictures and then write the story? Or do you think of a character and go, ooh, I'm going to write a story about that character? Is it, oh, I've got the idea for the story, and then you bring it to life?
I would say, like, since I am an illustrator, I do see a
Think in
story in
pictures?
pictures. I actually write like it's a movie.
Oh, okay.
You know, like I see it and I write that way, and it kind of like plays out that way in scenes, which is great as for being an illustrator. But I would actually go ahead and say that illustration is not my strong suit. Writing is. So that's why it's nice when I meet people like Ben, who illustration is his strong suit. He's a great writer, but it teams well, especially, you know, when you have stuff.
And then
like
you
this.
guys take these into schools. How do you work as a team when you're there?
So we actually have another counterpart, and he's not here today, but we have a character named Grub, who's a puppet,
Okay.
and he comes with us too. And he kind of, so the book's about learning your manners, and so Grub has to learn his manners while teaching the kids how to be pirates. So that's kind of how our school visits are so fun,
I
because
bet.
he goes on a treasure hunt.
Yeah, Grub is he's chaos, and there's no better word to describe him than chaos. But he's also very much a child. So
It's Ben's inner self,
because
he's not chaos.
Grub the puppet is my unfiltered self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything my mom told me how you should like operate in life, Grub is against that.
All right, so we have one last question. Do you have any desire to see your books maybe become videos or even little movies?
Oh, for
TV
sure.
shows?
Absolutely.
I actually started, this one's animated on YouTube, and seeing it that way is really cool, but there's a lot of cool stuff happening with this book. Like, it's a story walk at Leonard Park.
Cool.
But I actually have been in contact with someone from Kansas City who's going to be turning this into a stage play, and she directs an orchestra, and she wants to bring an orchestra in and do like a whole thing like that. So for me, movies sounds cool, but I think theater, like seeing it on the stage, would just be
to life.
just so cool for me.
Well, congratulations, lots of opportunities. Thanks for sharing your journey with us today on Newsmakers. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, we love it. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Be sure to check out Izzy B's website and Facebook pages. Thanks to our guests, and thank you for watching Newsmakers.